How do you obtain the greatest value for your business? If you plan to sell, something you've thought about before, knowing the company, knowing the marketplace, knowing the competition, also knowing the future of your industry, especially in healthcare, can be critical when it comes to maximizing your company's value for a sale. QuickMed Claims can help with some of those issues, as Michael Lewis is Chief Executive Officer of QuickMed Claims, and we are pleased to have him as a guest this morning on the Sunday Business Page. Welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Glad to have you here. When your company started, what you were doing was helping with billing issues for ambulances and for medical helicopters, and then the billing that had to then go into getting it back to insurance companies, providers, and that sort of thing. How does it go from that to the point that you're helping companies buy and sell themselves or purchase other properties?
Yeah, sure. No, we actually started in physician billing.
Okay.
And then in the year 2000, we had quite a few ambulance companies, so we decided to do strictly EMS across the U.S. So we got out of that physician billing and then started doing EMS. And then, like any small business owner, as you continue to grow, you think about, hey, I want to sell my company someday. You know, I want to maximize. I want to be able to sell it for. You know, you never know what the price is going to be, but as you continue to grow, and so we ended up going down that path 3 years ago, and because I had never done it before. You know, I understand my business, right? My industry.
Sure.
You don't really understand how to sell your own company. And so that's really how it started for us, and we sold it 3.5 years ago, and then we were bought by private equity, and then we ended up reselling it again to another private equity firm this past October.
Isn't it often the case that one of the main assets is the person who founded the company? And how do you value that person in a sale of a company?
That's a great question.
I mean, how do you do that?
There's
only one of you. So how do you incorporate your knowledge, your expertise with the sale of that asset?
Yeah, so super question, because the smaller the company, the more people are apt to want to have the founder to stick on and stay on. And so, again, that's one of the decisions you have to make when you sell your company. Do I want to stay on? Because that also will help maximize the value. Because basically what you're finding is they want to buy management teams. Mm-hmm. And so the founder's there. Who else is part of that team that's gonna help grow the business? Because that's ultimately what your new owners want to do. And then who else can they add to it, right? And so typically the owner and the founder strategically, he thinks strategically, right? He got it to where it is today. And so I think the next level gets to be a little different. So the higher, the larger companies and the larger you are, invariably they can find people that can sometimes replace you if that's a decision you want to make. But great question. The smaller the companies, they typically want you to stay on.
So how do you value a company? How then do you put a price tag on, what it is for a widget, for a coffee cup that you sell, but how do it for a company?
Yeah, so it's interesting because every business is valued differently, right? A pizza business is valued different than a software company,
sure.
which I found out. And so most people are going to do a valuation off of your EBITDA, right? And when you're a small business owner, you have no idea what EBITDA is, right? We talk about profit, right? So you start learning what those things are, and most people are going to do some type of a multiple off your EBITDA. And so when you look at companies, which we do now, because we're doing acquisitions, and people tell you that, oh, I want this much money for my company, and then they tell you what their EBITDA is, and you look at them and go, right. So you try to explain,
it's a pipe dream, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You try to explain to them how you can get there. Mm-hmm. But if you have $1 million EBITDA company and you're selling widgets, and you want $20 million for it, it's probably not going to happen.
Right, because the factor is just not right.
Yep.
So then, how do you come upon a negotiated price that is fair to both sides? Private equity firms are out there buying all the time. They're going to want to undervalue your business, right?
Yep.
You're going to want to overvalue. You want $20 million for that $1 million EBITDA. So how do you come to a happy medium that both sides feel good about? Yeah,
so that's another great question, because that was really what I had to learn. Like what maximizes the value for your company? How do you? It's kind of like each little thing that you can do could increase a turn. Mm-hmm. And so, for example, we didn't have audited financials. And so when you want to lay yourself out there and you want, let's say, $20, $30, $40 million for your company, most private equity firms are going to want to make sure that your financials are, they are what they are.
Not just your books, but that somebody else is looking at.
Just not a version of QuickBooks, right? Exactly. So, that's an example of something that that's important as you want to be polished. So really what you're looking to do is, you've got a company out there, how do you polish that company? How do you make it look like you're much more professional? You're not just a lifestyle company. Right. Doing an acquisition is another thing that we learned. We never did it, and because we never really borrowed a lot of money since we owned the company, and so that was one of the things that they told me could increase the value. If you were able to go out there and buy another company that does what we do. So for example, if you're a pizza shop, you go out and buy other pizza shops, and people say, okay, they can scale. And so being able to scale your organization is what they want to hear.
Because they may be looking at growing your company to make sure that it works.
Yeah, so it's your industry. Can you grow your industry? And if you can't grow it exponentially, then are there other silos that your business could get into?
A lot of things to think about.
Yeah, very much so.
Thanks for your expertise this morning. We very much appreciate it.
Appreciate the time.
It's great to meet you, and best of luck in the next endeavor, too.
Thank you. Very nice meeting you.
We appreciate it. So we've learned a lot of things this morning, and so glad that you've been with us. We'll come back and wrap things up on the Sunday Business Page in just a minute.